has the spiritual powers to bring heaven on earth. Right? So in that sense, he is powerful. He is the benevolent being. Right? He liberates us. He comes and helps us to return back to our original form by sharing that knowledge that he has with us. And when you talk about the attributes of the Supreme Being, we always compare it with ocean. So as a soul, I can be peaceful, but there might be times when I'm not so peaceful. Right? As a soul, I can be loving, but at the same time, I might not be so loving at other times. But the Supreme Being is always loving. He's ever pure. His ocean of peace, his ocean of wisdom, right? So that's how the attributes are referred for the Supreme Being. And when you talk about what is his role, right, we say that he comes to liberate us from sorrow and bestow upon us happiness. He comes to purify us, right? He comes to sustain us. He is the one who is called the creator. So there are different roles that have been given to God. And so now anyone and everyone can connect with him. Right? He does not have a religion because he does not have a body. So he does not belong to any particular religion as such. The soul, when in the body, has a religion. But when the soul is just as a soul, I don't have any religion. We learned in our yesterday's lesson that peace is the original religion of the soul. Right? Love is the original quality of the soul. Right? And so he does not have any of those religions. And sometimes people refer to God as one who is punitive, one who punishes, one who somebody should be fearful about. But the truth is, he is not that. He's very loving, and he's always best over. He only comes to give, he only comes to share. He does not want anything from us, he does not take anything from us. Right? And so, in that sense, what I need to do then, to connect to such a being of light, the Supreme Soul, I just have to tune into that what I want. So if I tune into the quality of love that God has, the quality of love which is unconditional, which is not tainted, the truth which is not covered by falsehood, right? The happiness which is permanent, for example. So when I connect with God in this way, then I can allow myself to draw upon his energies. Can you all hear me? Yeah? Okay. Just checking. So, so when I allow myself to connect with one of these qualities, then I can draw upon God's energies into myself, right? So the question comes, how can I connect? So first I told you, the first basis of connection is introduction. Suppose you meet somebody, right? And they introduce you to themselves and you introduce yourself to them. And they see some of your qualities. And on basis of that introduction, basis of knowing your qualities, you can remember them sometimes and they might remember you at certain times, right? So that is one basis of establishing a connection with someone. The second basis of connecting with someone is that you have, you know that there is some benefit in this. So for example, if you are a businessman, right, and you know that a client is coming to you and the client calls you and tells you tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'm coming and I want to buy stuff worth 100,000 rupees. What will happen? Whole night you won't sleep, right? You will wait for that next day to come. And then as soon as morning is there, you will quickly go to your store. You will wait whole day for him to come. You are constantly remembering this person, right? Why? Because there is benefit merged in there. And the third basis of connecting to someone is the most elevated and most pure form is called as relationship. When you have a relationship with someone, right? For example, if you say father, so instantly the image of your father comes in front of you. His qualities come in front of you, his wisdom comes in front of you. And you are influenced now, right? You feel safe, you feel secure. So when you connect to somebody on the basis of relationship, there is safety in it, there is security in it, there is faith that this relationship will serve you, right? And so we'll dive a little deeper into this aspect of having a relationship with God. Are you all with me so far? Yeah? Okay. So with the Supreme Being, I can have a relationship of a father. God is also called as the supreme parent of the soul. Now, one thing that I need to understand here is that when I am in this body, right, then I have a physical father and I have a physical mother. I'm not denying that. We have relationships. But when I look myself beyond this body, I look myself as a soul, then I can say that the Supreme Soul is my eternal parent. He's my father, he's my mother, right? And when you establish this connection with God as your father, you become the child, then from the father, the remembrance is very easy. You automatically remember your father. Nobody tells you, oh, sit down, remember father, right? It's very natural, it's very easy. And in the company of the father, you automatically feel safe. You automatically feel supported. You know that the inheritance of the father is for you, right? You know that all your needs will be fulfilled, right? So when I connect like this with God, then I know that I have the support that I need. I realize that I'm not alone, right? I don't have to do everything by myself. So I'm just remembering one story about this little girl who's sitting in the flight, and many of you must have heard. And next to this little girl is sitting an elderly man. This girl, when the flight starts, right, and it takes off, after some time there is turbulence and there is chaos in the entire flight. And things go out of control. People are screaming and people are afraid. Many are scared. And this little girl is sitting quietly. So the gentleman asks him, "You're not scared?" And she says, "No, I am not scared. I know my father is the pilot and he will safely take me back home." Right? So there is so much faith that comes with the father. So what we need to understand here that at such times, right, when especially you feel that things are not in your control, you don't know what to do, then it's very simple. We don't need to know everything. We don't need to figure out everything by ourselves, right? We can simply hand it over to God. We can say that I have a father, he's my support system, all my needs will be fulfilled when I see myself as a child of the Supreme. And this, sometimes handing over things to your father is much better than trying to you handing them yourself, right? And so this process is basically meditation, where you give your control in the hands of God, knowing that He will take care of it by you making that connection with Him and staying in connection with God, right? Now, again, sometimes people do ask, oh, I have father, he's powerful, he's wealthy, he's very good, I have good relationship, then why do I need to remember God? Fair enough. It's good that you have such a beautiful father. But the thing is then connecting person to person is like making a horizontal connection, right? And that is not the first step. It's actually the third step. The first step is that I have a relationship with myself, right? I understand who I am because nobody else can really understand me as who I am, except for my own self. And then the second step is that I have a relationship with God or the Supreme, right? So that I can empower myself, I I can fill myself with all his qualities. And then the third step is I come into the relationship. Because if you go into a relationship empty, right, then there is push and pull, there is clash, right? There is expectations, there are bondages, and the relationship which was meant to give you, meant to be a source of happiness, eventually becomes a source of sorrow, right? But when you connect with Baba or when you connect with Father, right, then you feel that you have whatever his inheritance is, it is yours. So there is this comfort, there is this faith, there is this easiness in just remembering God as a father. Yeah, right? You feel that? So then the next relationship that you can have with God is him being your teacher. And as teacher, God is here to make you understand what is right, what is not. He gives you the understanding of the creation, of the creator, the understanding of the truth, right? He brings you closer to your own true self. He's very caring, he's very considerate, he's very, as a teacher, he understands you, but then he's not going to be doing any favoritism, right? So there's fairness as a teacher. You can also remember God as a guide. Right? He guides us back home. He liberates us from sorrow as a guide. As a guide, he teaches us what is the truth, right? Or you can remember him as a friend, right? Friend is the most beautiful and very great relationship, I feel, because we get to choose this relationship, right? And in friendship, there is trust. When you have friend, you can tell to your friend on your face. You don't have to speak behind my back. In friendship, you know your secrets will be kept. You can share whatever you want to share, right? And God loves friends. He loves them, right? You must have heard the story of this little boy who goes in the jungle and to graze his cattle, right? And this is his job every day. Every day he takes his cattle and he goes in the jungle and he leaves them and he sits under the tree. And whilst he's sitting under the tree, he remembers, he has this conversation with God all the time. That, hello, God, how are you? My mom has packed dal and rice today. Would you like to come and have with me? This is what happened to my cattle. So he's conversing with God just like a friend would do, right? And then one day, sage passes by and he hears this child, this boy, and he says, what are you doing? And he says, I am talking to God. God is my friend. And so he says, this is not how you remember God. This is not how you connect with God. And he comes and gives him a mantra. He says, chant this mantra, and that's how you remember God. And after a few days, it seems, of course, this is a story, right? It seems that God comes in the dreams of this sage and he says, I will punish you because you actually took away my best friend from me. I love the friendship of this little boy, but now he's just chanting all day the same thing. There is no newness, right? Imagine somebody coming and telling you good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, right? How would you feel? So it's very interesting that you can forge a relationship of friend with God. And you can also have a relationship of a beloved with God, right? Where loyalty is needed, faithfulness is needed, right? It's an intimate connection where I share my life, I share everything that I have with God, right? Every story, all my ups and all my lows, right? Everything I share with him. So there is no secret. And then as a mother, I have him to hold me when I need somebody to hold me, right? I have his unconditional love. I know that he's not going to love me based on my external things, right? But he loves me for who I am. So in this way, you can forge a connection with God in any relationship. Right? And so what I would like you to do, you know, in today, like whole day, you kind of cultivate this relationship with God. Every time you remember God, you connect with Him with this relationship. So the basic question I would ask is then, what is the one thing that you need to connect? And even before going there, let me introduce you to this concept of where should I remember God? Where should I remember God? And this brings me to this idea that in Rajyoga meditation, we can explore different dimensions. We can understand and we can travel through different dimensions. So here you can see that this is the physical dimension. Right? This is the physical dimension. This is Earth, the other planets, the whole solar system, unlimited stars in the whole galaxy, the entire universe, right? So we call this as the physical dimension. Now, the attributes of the physical dimension is that there is sound, there is movement, there is light, there is change that is constantly happening. The physical dimension is made out of 5 elements of matter, right? Earth, fire, ether, air, and water. So these 5 elements exist here. The physical dimension has physical and moral laws. Right? The physical dimension has limitations. It has a start and an end, a beginning of a story, an end of a story, like that. And this is the place actually, which is like a stage where the souls, come and take a body and play our roles, whatever role you want to play, but you play here. This is the place that allows the soul to express and experience itself in the body, right? But then there is a place, if you go beyond, which is called as the dimension of light. And in this dimension of light, there is no sound, there is no movement, there is no body here, right? The body cannot travel in this place. There is no change, there is no concept of time, right? There is no gravity. This particular dimension is also called as dimension of light. So we have 5 elements which are present in the physical dimension, and the 6th element, which is called as the Brahma element, which is the element of light. That is what exists here. And that's why sometimes this place is referred to as Brahmand. This is the place which is home of us, all of us. The souls reside here. And it is in this place that the soul resides as a seed. Right? The seed, like a dormant stage, more like a restful stage where I'm not moving, I'm not experiencing anything, I'm not expressing anything, but I'm just dormant. And whenever I will get a fertile ground, I will establish myself, or I will express myself, right? The seed, however long you keep it, right? Whenever it gets the fertile ground, it will sprout and become a tree, right? So similarly, I stay here as a soul, just a point of light in my eternal state of silence. But then whenever I come on the planet, I take the body and I express myself on the planet. Yeah. So when I want to connect with God, it is important for me to connect to Him where He is. So you will say, oh, I can remember God wherever I am. I can connect to Him wherever I am. Yes, definitely. But it does not mean that God is omnipresent. Right? In Brahma Kumaris, we don't believe in the concept of omnipresence. It's just like, for example, if you take an incense stick, right? And in that incense stick, you will place the incense stick in one place, but the fragrance will go in the entire place, right? So even though the fragrance can be felt in the entire house or the entire temple, The incense stick does not need to be present everywhere. Similarly, for me to feel the presence of God's qualities or God's energy or God's power, I can connect. I just have to tune in. I just have to connect to His energy and I will experience. God does not need to be present everywhere for me to give His experience. Right? Yeah, is this concept clear? So when I want to connect, so for example, if your phone is discharged, right, you want to charge your phone, you have to take it to the plug and plug it into the power station, right? The power station is not going to come to your phone. You have to take the phone to the power station. So similarly, I am here in the body, but in my meditation, right? How do I meditate? Using my mind and intellect. Right? On the first day, we said that thoughts are the foundation for Rajyoga meditation. And then yesterday we said that the mind and intellect help me to connect. It's the mind and intellect through which I can connect with my inner self, and therefore I can also connect with the Supreme Being. Because mind is the one that creates the thoughts, and intellect is the one that visualizes. So, with the energy of my thoughts and visualization process, I can travel beyond the space in my meditation and connect with the Supreme Being. Right? It does not mean that I leave this body and I go. Right? It just means that in my meditation, I visualize that I'm establishing a connection with the Supreme Being and I'm drawing upon His energy into myself. Yeah? Now, there are different names that have been given to this light. Some people call it Allah, some people call it Jehovah, some people call universal force, some people call spirit, right? And at Brahma Kumaris, we like to refer to him as Shiva. And Shiva is a more qualitative based name. In today's time, there are names which have meaning, but they might not signify the quality of the person, right? Somebody's name might be Shanti, but they might not be peaceful at all times, right? Or someone's name might be Narayan, but they might not behave like Narayan, right? But Shiva is a name that has a significant meaning to it. Shiva first means that it is a point. And in olden days, there were these businessmen who used to actually write Shiv after one. Whenever they wanted to write zero or a point, they would not write zero or they would not write a point, but they would just write Shiv, 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 right? So it would be like 10, 100, or 1,000, whatever. How many ever you want points, you would just write Shiv. And then the second attribute that signifies this attribute of God that is signified in the name is that Shiva means the one who is benevolent. So he's always here to bring benefit to the humankind. God can never punish, or he's never intervening in our stories. So he's always beyond, he's always in the state which is like a detached observer. And the third meaning of Shiva is that he is a seed. Seed meaning he's the essence of the entire tree of humanity. And just like the seed has the entire knowledge of the tree, similarly, God has the entire knowledge of the creator and the creation. And that's why he can guide us back home, because he's the only one who knows the way back home. He's the only one who knows the knowledge of the reality that exists in today's time. And so those are the three attributes of God, or three meanings of the name Shiva, right? And you can call him Shiva, you can call him God, you can call him whatever comfortable feels to you, right? But then we endearingly call him as Baba. And Baba simply means that he's the father. Right? In many languages, like African languages, Baba also means grandmother. So it's just, again, a way of forging a relationship, and not making it dry by saying God or by saying Shiva, right? But I say with love, I say with so much reverence and respect that he is my Shiv Baba, like he's my father, he's my mother. So in that sense, I refer to him as Baba. So if you feel comfortable, you can use this word. But if you don't, it's perfectly fine with whatever feels comfortable to you, right? To use that. So now the question is, why do I need to know about this dimension of light? So what is the benefit of going home in meditation? So imagine you're working at the office from 9 to 5 p.m. and you're very tired, and you want to go home. Why do you want to go home? If I ask you a basic question, why do you want to go home? Mainly we say because it is in the home that we feel rested, right? So we go home to rest. Right? Otherwise, I could say that, oh, tomorrow again 9 a.m. you have to come. Why don't you just stay in your office? Right? Why to travel 1 hour or half an hour and then come back next day? But wherever you go in this world, right, however beautiful the place might be, but when you come home, you feel, thank God we are at home, right? So that feeling of really getting that rest that I need, I can get that only in my home. Right? And so, yes, the body has the home, which is on the physical plane, but I, the soul, this is my home, right? And so if I travel here, then I can feel rested, I can feel relaxed, I can feel at ease. And the second reason, why we want to go home is because, let's think about this, right? Let's say, for example, you are using your mind and intellect to connect with God. Now, when you have something for your mind to focus on, it is very easy for that task to be accomplished. But imagine you don't have anything for your mind to be focused on, especially during these times, right? When we are at home by ourselves, if we are just, sitting idly, then it's very easy for the mind to wander around. Mind likes to go into the side roads. So it doesn't like to go on the straight path. It likes to wander around everywhere. And usually a wandering mind will be very much focused on analyzing the self. And when you analyze the self, you would feel that on the outside, everything seems okay. But inside, it feels very damaged. I have a very damaged relationship with myself. I'm very critical about myself. I'm very much in the mode of judging myself, not feeling good enough. And so, why does this happen? Because most of the times, if I don't allow my mind to focus on something, then the mind will wander in a way that it will go into the past. Right? And what is there in the past? The mistakes that I have made, the wrongdoings that I have done, what somebody said to me. If someone said I'm not good enough, or somebody said I'm not beautiful, then I color myself with the vision of others. I allow their opinions to become my reality and I start believing in them. But when God's vision falls upon me, right, when He looks at me and He says, "Child, you are mine. I am your father." Right? So God has the ability to look at me in my original form. He's not looking at me what I am in the present form. Right? He's not looking at my past. He's not looking at what mistakes I've made. He's not looking at what things I have acquired on the journey, right? He's not looking at what labels others have put on me. But he really comes and tells me that you are my child and you have the DNA of God. Right? And so this instantly allows us to shift our perspective, and our vision towards ourselves changes. I begin to look myself from the vision of God. And this is meditation basically, right? Moving from body consciousness into soul consciousness. Yesterday, whatever we learned about the soul is the vision of God, how he sees us as a soul. He sees us beautiful. He sees us full of these qualities. He sees us as one which is indestructible, right? And so this really empowers me. But then what do we do? Right? See, so again, the mind plays games with us, right? And here, God comes and tells me that you are exactly like me. You are my perfect replica. Right? And Shiva is known as Satyam Shivam Sundaram. That means the one who is truth, one who is benevolent, one who is the most beautiful one. And he tells me I look exactly like him. I am exactly like him. That means as a soul, I'm very beautiful. I have all these beautiful qualities, right? But then because of our limited vision, we don't allow it to sink into ourselves. The question is, can I allow myself to look at myself with the vision of God? Right? So imagine, how many of us are here? 15, 14, I don't know how many of you are here, but imagine I take each one of your names and God tells you, and on behalf of God, I tell you that God really loves you for who you are. God loves you as you are. How do you feel? And there, some of you might feel good, but there are some of us who would feel, oh, okay, whatever. I really don't know if I am worthy of feeling God's love, or I don't know if I can accept. But this is what meditation is all about, that I get a perspective, right? I come closer to God when I am in soul conscious state, when I begin to look myself with the vision that God has for me. Yeah, is this making sense? Do you feel that you can start looking yourself with the vision of God, that the way He looks at you, He looks at you as the most beautiful one. He looks at you as the most powerful one. In your original form, you are this. And so when we go home in our meditation and connect with Shiv Baba, then I can feel my soul consciousness emerging. And being in soul consciousness is an effort in and of itself, right? It's not easy because we cannot see the soul, but we can see the body, and the body pulls us, right? The body consciousness is so strong over so many years that it constantly pulls us. But the effort is to then always tell myself that I am soul, I am peaceful, I am loving, I have the power to face the challenges that life will bring in front of me. So this is meditation, that you have a conversation with God. And so then what we say is that it's no longer just meditation now. Right? One of the most natural things for the human being is to have remembrance, to remember something. Even now, you might be remembering something. As I'm sharing these points, you might be saying, oh, I connect with the story. I understand this, right? So you are making those connections. You can see that. So remembering and then falling in love is very natural. So here is an invitation to each one of you to fall in love with God. And on the basis of the love that you have, you forge a connection with him. And then you don't have to meditate. You just have to remember him. So from here onwards, I'm not going to use the word meditation. I'm going to say remember. Yad. It's a very powerful, very sweet word. Yad karna is very natural, very easy, right? For the soul to remember the Father is very easy. For the soul to remember the friend is very easy. So this is what I would like you all to practice. Right? And then when I am low, whenever I'm feeling low, as soon as I connect with this eternal truth that I belong to you and God belongs to me, right? I belong to God and God belongs to me. Instantly, my self-respect rises, right? And I feel charged. So those are the other reasons why I would like to go home. For resting, for recharging my battery, for having a perspective which is very different from my old way of looking at myself. And God is the highest reference point that the soul can have. Right? So that is what I have to share with you all today. I would share this slide perhaps tomorrow because we are coming close to the time. So I will share this tomorrow. It's just the overview of what we saw today. But if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, if you need any clarification, perhaps you can ask me now. Anyone has any questions? Here they say that there are only two things that can happen. One is that you have understood everything, and so there are no questions. And second, you have understood nothing, and so there are no questions, right? So I hope it's the first case. But let me know, if you have any questions. Because the other thing about, spirituality, you can learn and practice based on faith, right? But not the faith that we understand in devotion, right? It's not the faith, not but it is the faith that comes from experience. The more I experiment with these ideas, the more I, try them out and have an experience about it, then it feels very easy. It feels that, yeah, I can see that this is working for me. Right? Okay. So if you have no questions, then maybe this is one. I wanted to share the story, but I don't think I have enough time. So perhaps you all are at home. You can make time to go to YouTube and just type in "I am special." It's a story by Max Lucado, and I think you will enjoy it. It will give you another perspective of why, you need to feel and you need to understand that you are very special. I was really feeling that all 12 of you, how many of you are present, 12 or 15, each one of you is very fortunate and very privileged to have got this introduction to God. Because the soul connecting with the Supreme Soul is an extraordinary healing process in and of itself. And whatever hurt or pain or the vices that are present in the soul, they all can be removed, and natural healing can take place when I, as a soul, remember God as the Supreme Soul. The first I have to remember, it's always relationship with the self first, then relationship with the Supreme. I fill myself, I empower myself, and then I come back and connect with the worldly relationships that I have. And you will see your relationships will transform. I mean, today's time and in day and age, you can see that all the relationships are mostly transactional relationships, right? If I call you, you will call me. If I come to your home, then you will come to my home. If I bring gift for you, you will bring gift for me. So it's like always one person does and then the second person does. But when you understand that I don't really need anything from this person, I get whatever I need from the Supreme, and then now I can just share with everyone else. So that makes your relationships also very strong, very beautiful, very comfortable. So yeah, it's very, you can watch that video and then also communicate with Baba, right? So throughout the day today, like that little boy, communicate your news with Baba. It's not that only when you have sorrow you go to God, but even if you have a good news to share, if you're feeling happy about something, you first try to share it with your eternal Father, and then you can share with others as well. And then also, if you feel comfortable, then whenever you get chance, remember him as this little spiritual son and absorb his energies, right? Absorb his rays. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, then shall we do some meditation? Yeah. Maybe you all, or maybe you can unmute them. Should we?
Dr. Chetan.
Hello.
Yeah, would you like to ask?
Good morning.
Good morning. May I request you all to turn on your videos, please?
You can do that at the end after meditation.
Okay, fine. Okay. You want to ask something, Dr. Chetan?
No, nothing, just
Okay, fine. Thank you.
So let's do a little meditation, right?
Yeah.
So once again, I invite you to sit comfortably and gently bring the awareness of being a tiny point of light on the surface of your mind. With the help of your third eye, see yourself as a sparkling light sitting in the center of the forehead, the master of this body. In this master consciousness, I know that the vehicle is my costume. Just like when astronauts have to go in space, they have their costume. Similarly, when I have to come from the soul world into this physical dimension, I wear this costume of 5 elements so that I can express myself. I can radiate my energies of peace, power, love. And as I radiate this light, I naturally begin to feel peaceful. I believe that peace is my original religion. I realize when I am peaceful, my intellect is able to discern and decide in the best possible manner. In this state of peace, being soul conscious, I gently detach myself from this body. And when I detach myself from this body, I detach myself from the roles and responsibilities as well. And naturally, I feel light. I feel I'm free of bondages. In this state of freedom, where I'm absolutely light, I'm able to go in the upward direction, just as the balloon would naturally go upwards. And with the speed of a rocket, I am able to cross all the boundaries of the physical dimension. I go beyond sound and I step into the realm of light, the dimension of peace. And as I dive deeper into this realm, I stand in front of the supreme light. A sense of belonging washes over me. I feel I have come home. This is where I belong. The Supreme Being is my Father. And as a child, I don't need to ask anything from Him, for I have the right to His treasure store. As a child, I claim His inheritance with dignity and grace. Whatever I want, to the extent that I want, I draw upon Baba's energy into me. And more the light of peace that I receive, my internal state of peace increases. I become even more full of the energy of peace. Feeling content, and now gently return back to the physical dimension. And once again, I see myself sitting in the center of the forehead as the master of this body. Om Shanti.